Welcome everybody to the CODESYS Tech Talk, and it's my pleasure. Thank you, Chris, for inviting me, and thank you, Marcus, as well, and all the CODESYS team. Fantastic group in North America that we have the pleasure of working with on a regular basis. This is a fantastic event, the CODESYS Tech Talk. All sorts of great information all week long. So definitely get over to those other sessions and take a look at those as well. As Chris mentioned, Northern Dynamics, we're out of just outside of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and we have been a systems partner for some time now. And my background, as I started the company itself is about 21 years old, and originally I came out of the Rockwell group, thus my connection to the Rockwell side of things. I came out of the Rockwell group and started a systems integration business, Northern Dynamics, and eventually made my way over the CODESYS group and became a CODESYS system partner. We do a lot of integration projects, and we specialize in converting from Rockwell and or Siemens, and to a lesser degree some other product lines, but primarily Rockwell and Siemens into CODESYS. We have been involved in taking many large projects and migrate them over, and about, I guess it's just over a year ago now, more maybe a year and a half ago now, into the summer of the previous year, where you know, we were involved in one of our latest conversions, and I was sitting there at the office, and I was thinking, boy, we're in this automation field. I was wondering if there's some way we could automate this process. And so we came up with this proof of concept on converting, being able to automate the conversion process between, in the first case is Rockwell to CODESYS, and then our software suite was born. So we went into development all this past year. We were in development, and we actually got to the point where we did beta testing, and then finally released the software. The release was August 15th. So it's fairly recent that it's out to market. So yeah, with essentially what we're converting at this point is SLC 500 MicroLogix, so anything in the RS Logix family, so SLC 500 and MicroLogix into CODESYS, and or in the ControlLogix world, the design studio world, we're converting ControlLogix and CompactLogix into CODESYS. So our suite at this point does actually convert those. We've always, right from the beginning, took the 80-20 rule. We've said, just like the conversion tool that you might see from SLC to ControlLogix, we take the same approach, where we're 80-20 rule. We're striving for 100% conversion. Realistically, there's going to be some things that don't convert. So we're converting. We're trying to take out all the mundane part, the typing, the extra work that it takes to reduce your conversion process from you know, on average, it's been about 8 weeks, and you'll see that the software reduces that to about 3 minutes. So of course there's some things that have to be done. We do not know the IO that that you're going to be using. We don't have that necessarily. If you're converting, maybe you're going to go with one of our trusted partners that sell hardware partners that sell field bus devices and we don't know which field bus devices you might want to choose. So from there, you're going to have to do your own I/O. There's a couple of blocks here and there that we do not convert at this point, but we're converting essentially all of the instruction sets in both RSLogix 500 and RSLogix 5000 or Design Studio. So, anyways, with that information, let's actually see the software run. Let me show you the first package. So the name of the software is LEGAAT. That's a throwback to my Dutch heritage. My father was Dutch, and I wanted to name something that represented its throwback to him. So in my Dutch background. So anyways, that's why the name LEGAAT. The CODESYS converter. If I double click on the CODESYS converter here in my tree, it's going to open up the main interface, as you can see there. It's a pretty simple interface, not a lot to it. Essentially what we do is we take a project file. You're going to select the project file here. You're going to select what version of CODESYS that you actually want to use. And then you're going to hit convert, and it will go and convert it. Down the left side, you'll see some toolbars, buttons. There's an update button. The software will automatically update when you, it will try to update when you open it. If you do not update, it actually communicates with our server, and if your software is older, a previous version, it will ask you if you want to update. If you decline that update at that point, what you can do is at some time down the road, hit the update button, and it will update it for you. Request license and install license, they're used during the licensing process. A license is actually, you purchase a license and it gets installed based on your computer. So what happens is you'll request a license, which essentially sends us an email and with a code from your computer, a stamp from your code in your computer, and then we take that, we generate a key, and we'll shoot you back a key, and that's what you'll use the install license to actually to license the software, and then it's licensed for whatever you purchased. Of course, our help file and quit, they're pretty straightforward. But let's go and actually look at a project and convert one. So I'm going to start with a Slick 500 project. As you can see here, this is RSLogix 500 that's up and running right at the moment. And this is a project that a client of ours has so graciously allowed us to show. So it's a full project, a running project right at the moment. And you can see it's got all the ladder logic files. It's got all the data files that are typical in an RSLogix 500 project. And we'll be able to convert these. You'll see when we convert this project, you'll see a bunch of what are called methods in CODESYS that are going to show up to replace the ladder logic. Okay, so within the RSLogix 500 world, of course, it's all ladder logic. In the old Slick 500, it's ladder logic. So we convert in kind. If the project has ladder logic in it, we'll convert to ladder logic. If the project has function block or structured text or any of these other languages, as in control logics, we will convert those as well. So you'll see structured text in CODESYS in your final CODESYS solution. You'll see function block in your final CODESYS solution. But of course, in RSLogix 500, we just see ladder logic. So you can see this is a standard project with full ladder logic and so on. As I click around, you can see just a general ladder logic. Okay, so to convert it, what we're doing is you will actually save your project. You're going to save it as a SLC file, as a matter of fact. And when you save it as an SLC file, you see I've already done that. You save it as an SLC file, and it basically will export it for you. So I've also got the tags, alias tags, and so on. So it will actually give us our comments as well. So I'm going to cancel this because I've already done this. And in my CODESYS converter, I'm going to go out and select that SLC file that was created, and I'm going to open that up and choose my CODESYS profile. And I'm at this point, CODESYS is up to actually patch 3. So the software will recognize what software you have installed on this particular computer. So right now, this computer, I only have patch 1 and 2, but I'm going to use the just the core Service Pack 20 to convert this. Hit the convert button. It's going to give us a conversion report. So you'll notice it puts it on your desktop, and it'll give you a little text file, and in there it'll tell you if there's things that haven't converted, or if there's any issues that it found. It will actually show you that. So I'm going to open this up, and again, it's just a little text file. It shows whatever things have been not converted, or if there's issues or whatnot. Tells you the rung number and so on. You can see we even, at some point, we even look at, we split some of the rungs just to make them, we split them into multiple rungs if there's rungs with branches and so on. Some complex rungs will change over like this. So this is the report, pretty straightforward. And I'm going to say okay to that report, and it's going to actually start running. It'll launch that version of CODESYS for me. You'll see that happening here. CODESYS is starting. So tick-tock, about 3 minutes, 3 minutes it'll take to convert this particular project, and go from there. One thing to watch for, and this is sometimes a question that we hear a lot about converting, is do we have a canned library? Do we have a library of blocks? And yes, our software, we have actually gone and replicated. Basically, what we do in CODESYS is we have replicated all the blocks that are in Rockwell. So in RSLogix 500, we've recreated those blocks. There's some things that are unique to some of the Rockwell blocks. For example, implicit data conversion is one thing, or there's blocks that maybe they have specialty blocks, sequencer blocks, or a file fill block. These are blocks that are, I don't want to say unique to Rockwell, but they're just they're blocks or instructions that are in the Rockwell world. We've recreated that, so you're going to see that it's actually going to give us the Northern Dynamics CODESYS SLIC 500 library. You'll see that in a second. This library comes with the software, and you can pull instructions from that library and use them. Of course, it's a compiled library, so you don't see the underlying code, but it is free to use once you've actually purchased the software. So you can see it's starting to churn. It's executing some script for us, and as in a second you'll start to see it. It's almost like the Matrix, where it's populating the CODESYS project. And it's funny, I often say $8 million for a computer system, and it doesn't matter. Us in computers, whenever we have a computer, it's always too slow for us, right? But anyway, there it is. There, it's running our Northern Dynamics library, and it's adding the methods. We use methods to replicate our subroutines in Rockwell. And it doesn't matter at this point for the demo, but I'll set it to newest just for fun. And let's talk about what it's created here. What it's created is, you can see, if I double click into, let me move this around. If I double click into this I'm going to move that screen out of the way, actually. If I double click into a file, you see, or one of the methods, you'll see this is the ladder logic that was in our Rockwell project. Move instructions, one shots, equal signs, equal instructions, etc., etc. And you can see as I click around, there's your ladder logic, there's your set and resets, there's drain valves. We've got our own counters, we've got our own equals again. And you'll notice that these instructions, the instructions that we've recreated, are they're actually part of our library, NDS, Northern Dynamics Slick Timer. So that library is actually, if I scroll down here, you can see the library is actually included. I'm going to click on the library there, and you'll notice that it actually includes, here's a whole bunch of instructions that are from the Rockwell world that we've actually recreated. There's your FIFOs, there's your DDTs, you name it, SCL, SCP, etc., etc., etc. So again, that library is included with the software, and it's used to create this project. And so again, we use methods. Methods are something unique in CODESYS that come from the object-oriented programming world. We use methods here in our conversion to replicate subroutines. They will use the higher level variable lists and so on. You'll see in control logics, we actually have variables up at the program level as well. But of course, in Slick, they only had one real data file area. Okay, so let me, speaking of, let's look at that. In the Slick world, we have a couple of things. We have, we call them controller variables, but these are all the variables that you would have seen in your Slick system. So there's all your timers, your counters, and so on. There's all your N33 or your N type, your integers, integers and Boolean, floating point, and so on. And even the presets are actually placed in for your timers. So these are your standard, these are the standard data types from your Rockwell project. But what we've also done, we've broken out the IO files. We've broken them out into a separate file called IO files. Again, we're using CODESYS GVLs, they're called here, to actually show this. But we've broken these out, and we've actually created these IO files for you, so that it makes it a little easier, get you one step closer to finalizing the project. And then what you can do as the last stages, of course, you add your IO at the bottom. You'll add your IO, whether it's Ethernet or Profinet or whatever it is you're using. You're gonna add that out, add your IO, and then go and map your IO from there. Standard CODESYS. We've included an IO map area. You can include it in here if you want. You can actually include your, I call it the old school mapping, where you would actually, you put in your variable and then you tell it what address it's mapped to. So you can either do it here, or as I said, you could do it down in your IO map directly in the IO itself. One last thing before I leave the Slick world, and you'll see this in control logics, in the control logics conversion as well. In the Slick world, we add some default functions or programs or whatever you want to call it, some default code to give us some creature comforts that maybe we would have had in Rockwell. In Rockwell, for example, the first thing is the first scan bit. In Rockwell, they use a first scan bit, and we've recreated that first scan bit here in CODESYS. So that's the first thing. You can use that first scan. We even use the same name because that's what your project might use. Okay, and then of course the other big thing from the S area in Rockwell in old Slick is the date and time. So we've recreated that. We include this in every project. That's why it's called conversion default. Just put it in there. All right. So it's pretty well creating and you'll notice it's even added a lot of the comments. It'll add run comments if there are any. It'll add lots of different things here. All the creature comfort. But you notice what we're trying to do, we're not trying to necessarily recode things for you. What we're trying to do is give you in kind what you had in Rockwell, put it in CODESYS. Now you're in CODESYS. Now you can go and use all the extended tools and extended features that are, beyond what the older Rockwell systems would have. So it does give you the original addressing and N and B type and I type. Maybe your maintenance crews used to those, and they want to know where those are. So that's why we've given you that. Okay, that's the slick conversion. Let's go out. I'm not going to save that. Let's go out and actually let's do a control logs conversion. And actually, sorry, before I do that, I'll just quickly show you. I've got the file open. This is not a customer file. This is just a demo file that I've created. I've created just for our purposes to show in a demo. So not a working file. But my point in making this, though, was to show you all the little tidbits that you might have in a control logics based or a logics based project, and how we convert that in CODESYS. So, for example, we have controller tags where you might have some tags. We have local tags, again, where you might have some tags. We have the different routines, a main routine. We have some AOIs. Rockwell has what they call AOIs. That's their version of function block. So I've recreated that, and I use that here in my project just to show you how it works. And then, of course, we've got just a simple timer counter and so on. And then we've even, as I mentioned, we will even convert structured text. So we've created a separate task to show you that it'll split up the tasks for you. And then also we're showing structured text and how that converts. So again, just like in the Slick world, to get this to work, what you do is you save this in our case for Logix, you save it as an L5X, not an L5K, an L5X. You save it as an L5X, and then once you save that file, it can be converted with our software. So let me go and pick that file now. If I go out and I'm going to pick the test 1 and test L5K, and again I'm going to use the service pack 20 and say convert. It again saves a report here. There's only one instruction in this particular program that doesn't convert, and I purposely put it there to show you. It's the GSV instruction. The GSV instruction works with hardware in Rockwell, so it's a little challenging. It's really not for us to tell you what hardware. And of course, if you're changing hardware, that's all going to be different. So you would have to do other things to get that information inside your project if you're using it. That being said, just like in Slick, we include the date time conversion default, and a lot of times, I would say probably 75% of the time, the GSVs are used for just getting the wall clock time in Rockwell. But I've seen a lot of use where it's going against getting errors and things, but of course that can be done in CODESYS in different methods. So anyways, again, it comes up with, it's going to extract it, and it's going to go and create our project. You'll notice this time it adds the Northern Dynamics. It adds the Northern Dynamics control logics library is what it's adding this time, not the Slick library. And again, this is a library of blocks that we've created. Of course, in the control logics world, in control logics, it is 32-bit as opposed to 16-bit. So the instructions did change slightly, and there was some nuanced differences. So we created a whole new library just for control logics. And you can see here, if I go into the library area, our library area there, and you'll see that we have ladder logic blocks. We have function blocks where we've actually recreated a lot of the function blocks as well. Because in structured text in Rockwell, in RS Logix 5000, the structured text is not based on their ladder logic instructions. It's based on their function block instructions. So we had to recreate the function blocks as well. So we recreated all these instructions, bit shift, and again, FIFO, and et cetera, et cetera. All right, let me close that out. That's our library. And let's just go take a look, meander around and take a look. First thing is, you'll notice that there's 2 tasks. So we did actually recreate those tasks. We created those tasks main program and program 2. So there's the 2 tasks, the separate tasks. There is our AOI has been recreated. We created that. Of course, it's a function block in CODESYS is an AOI. So we've created that. And if I go in, you'll see that it's created the logic inside there. It's even created the pre-start and the post-start. If your AOI has pre-start and post-start scanning, we will actually recreate that as well. And then any inputs and outputs and so on, we create all of that. Excuse me for a second. So we will create all the AOIs as long as the AOIs are not locked. As long as they're not locked, we can recreate them. We have no intention of trying to break into locked blocks. We feel it's a legal thing, so we don't go into locked blocks. So as long as the blocks are open, we should be able to create them, recreate them, and so far we've been able to do that. From there, you'll notice down in our main task, you have your main program, your main routine, as called in Rockwell, and of course the main routine calls the different. It'll call different routines if we have them. If it did actually fail to convert, not only will you see that in the little text file at the beginning, but we'll actually put a no-op. We have our own no-op where we're basically putting a placeholder, and we tell you that this rung is where a GSV was in this case that didn't get converted. So you can see that is placed in rung 3, but it does run the motor control. It is doing the timer counter, and of course other instructions inside of that particular routine. So we go to motor control. You can see it's actually created those motor starters that we had using the AOIs, or in this case now with CODESYS, it's function blocks. And then of course we have routine 1's empty, and there's our timer and counters we've recreated. Okay. What's interesting is if we go over to the structured text, you'll notice there's the structured text that it recreated. It'll actually go through and copy over the structured text, and any formatting, it'll attack any formatting issues and so on, and put it in for you in CODESYS. So it will do that as well. Now, what's interesting is in CODESYS, in control logics, we have really 2 main areas for, they call them tags. In CODESYS, we call them variables. For variables or tags, they have two separate areas. They have this one big area that's the controller tag database, and of course we have that as well. There's your controller tag database that we have recreated, but inside each program you'll see the local tags or local variables that are local to just the methods inside that program group. Okay, so that recreates that program tag field that you would have had in Rockwell in control logics. Okay, from there we also have data types. We will recreate all the data types. Any structures we'll recreate. So you can see we've recreated them here. UDTs in Rockwell, they're DUTs in CODESYS. We recreate them. So if I double click, I've just done a simple one here. Just basically the structure of the wall clock from the GSV actually in Rockwell. And of course our conversion default, you can see scan, we have first scan again, we have system time, and of course the system time and the first scan are part of the GVL inside this conversion default. So one of the nice things that we see, one of the creature comforts that we see in CODESYS versus Rockwell is, first of all, the ability to make multiple GVLs or variable lists in different ways. But also, I can't tell you how powerful the idea of having folders is in CODESYS. It's such a simple thing that we have that we can make use of, but it really organizes our project. So with our conversion software, we've been able to leverage that and just use the ability to make folders to divide things up. As you can see, we use default names like tasks and program blocks to again replicate what you have in the Rockwell world. So that's the basic structure of a conversion. Let me just go. I've got about what is it, about 20, 25 minutes. I want to just go over, and I can always come back and do another example and show you another example of the software running. But what I wanted to show you just at the moment is just to go over our pricing structure and what the current Tech Talk. We have a special going right now for Tech Talk people. You're welcome to screenshot this if you want. Here's the Tech Talk pricing. What we've been asked to do as we were creating this and as we were starting to sell it, and again, we've only just it's only been this year that we started to sell it, so we've been learning as we're going here. But people have been asking. We originally sold it as one big bundle, and I guess it potentially could be expensive if you were doing a one big bundle. So what we did is we split it up into different sections. You're still welcome to buy, if you want to do Slick and ControlLogix at the same time out of the same software, you're still welcome to buy that. But what we've done is we've split it up between Slick and ControlLogix. And when the PLC5 comes out, we have a PLC5 version coming out very shortly towards the end of this year. We're just under testing right now, testing it to make sure it's all working. When that comes out, that'll be another item, a bullet item here that you can purchase. But basically, you purchase based on how many conversions you want to do. Some people said to us, "Hey, we want to do 200 conversions," or there's another person that might say, "Hey, I only want to do 5, 10, 15, 20 conversions." So what we did is we changed the price based on the amount of conversions. So there's a Slick. The default is a Slick 20 conversion or the ControlLogix 20 conversion, and you can see the pricing that we're showing now. For Tech Talk, we are offering, in the case of the 20 version, 50% more conversions. 50% more conversions for the 20 convert version, just until the end of this week. So after that, the conversion size is going to go back to 20 and 50. And we've already had some people purchase that. Some of the people have been purchasing the 60 conversion and got the 60 conversion deal. So that's an option. Where to buy this? Of course, you can buy it. You can contact me directly. You can contact Northern Dynamics directly, or we have our team includes 3 great resellers out of the U.S. 2 of them actually are going to be on the call with me in about an hour. We're going to be talking further into conversions. But down in the southern U.S., we have David with Bright IA Automation, Intelligent Automation, and there's his contact information. You can contact him directly. On the eastern U.S., we've got Mark with Plant IQ. Definitely, there's his contact information. Matthew Knight is out in our western region, Western USA, and of course, we're proud to announce today. We haven't announced this yet. But we're really, really excited to announce today. Not only do we have these great resellers that you can work with, have a live person to help you through it if you want. We also have we're also going to be on the CODESYS web store, both North America and international. You'll be able to purchase the different versions right on CODESYS website. So I mean, again, I can't thank CODESYS USA for all their help on this. Marcus and Chris, and of course all the great people at tech support that have just made this possible. It's just fantastic. So, anyways, yeah, I'll be available to take some questions later on. I'm going to hang out till the end of the session and after our roundtable discussion, and we'll be able to take some questions and answers from there. But let me do one more. Let me go back. I'm going to close this window. So if you wanted to take a screenshot, definitely take that now. All right, let me close it here. And let me go back through. Let me just do this one more time. I'm going to go back to the CODESYS converter. And again, when you double click on the converter, it's going to open up. If there's a change in, if there is a version difference, so right now I'm 2.4. If there's a version difference, it'll communicate with the server. Of course, if you have internet access, and it'll tell you whether there's a new updated version. You can choose to do that. It'll even display, it'll even in the text, it'll even tell you what changes there are. Again, I'm going to go through and pick. Let's go back to the slick version here and just take a look at that one more time. So if I go Service Pack 20. There are a couple of little nuances that we're working through. Your conversion will work. It will work. Your conversion will convert. So it will convert. There's some nuances that we've employed into the software. So you may see that, and the help file definitely discusses any anomalies that we have currently that we're working our way through. I'll go back and we'll take a look again at the library. As I mentioned, the libraries are available once you purchase the software. You'll get the library comes with whichever version you pick. And as you can see, it's typing away, putting all your ladder logic in. And one thing I'll note, if you do have, if currently you're involved, if you're an integration company or if you're an OEM, an end user, currently the Slick 500 series have been made obsolete by Rockwell. So they're not going to be supporting that hardware anymore. So that actually happened March, I believe it was March of this year, 2024. So you'll definitely want to get at that if you have, if it's in your plant or if you have customers that have those. These are really the ones you want to start converting for sure. Control logics, absolutely. There's some things that we're working on, and with control logics, there's some other interesting things that we're working on. Scanner adapter functionality over Ethernet to actually make racks local or racks IO and so on. How can we communicate between a CODESYS PLC and a Rockwell PLC and so on. But yeah, anyways, let's go back, opening this up. You can see, again, this ladder logic is pretty straightforward. Now, the one thing I wanted to mention is we recreated the timers and counters. So what we've actually done in timers and counters, because timers and counters there's a nuanced difference between the timers and counters in Rockwell versus the ones that are in CODESYS. So our bridge instruction gives you the timer, and essentially this block will do all three of the type of timers that Rockwell has. So timer on, timer off, and an RTO, retentive timer. So you pick which particular one you want, and of course in Slick they had a different time-based setting. So whether you want hundreds of a second or whatever, so that was something that had to be plugged into the Slick timer. And of course, one thing that's really interesting that it's very unique to Rockwell. I've only ever seen it in a Rockwell timer is the timer timing bit. So you can see we've recreated the timer timing. Of course, the timer timing is nothing more than the input on and the output done bit or the Q bit not off, but essentially we've added that now that can be used. It's a creature comfort in Rockwell that's being used. So we see that in timers. Let's see if I wanted to show, do I have a counter here? These are all moves blocks. Counters are going to be the same thing. What you're going to see in a counter, let me go up to the library and just maybe I'll look at it through there. So up in our library, if I click on the Northern Dynamics library, functions, ladder, where am I? Bit, not bitwise, sorry. Oh, hey, under the timer counter area. What you'll see in the counter area, so graphically, this is what it looks like. Now, in Rockwell, they have two separate instructions: the counter up instruction, the counter down instruction. But both of those instructions work on the same data type. The data type is common between the two of them. It's a counter data type. So what we did is we created a counter, and again, just like the timer, you can pick counter up or counter down. You set the preset. They call it preset. There's a reset input, but that gives you all the outputs. Whether if it's counter up or counter down, it'll use the outputs from that data type, whether it's a counter up or a counter down, and so on. Overvalue, undervalue, and the ACC as they call it. So again, this is the uniqueness that we see between Rockwell and CODESYS. And I think with that, I think we're at a point. I don't know if we're not taking any questions until the end. So I think we're at a point where I've shown the conversion software, and definitely if I can help it any way. We also all of our resellers, all of us also help with that extra 20% or any of the conversions. We, as you're going to hear in the roundtable discussion, we actually will help with the conversion process because there's other things that get involved when you start converting. So we will help with that as well. So definitely don't hesitate to poke us if there's anything more we can help with.